guys so much for first and foremost following me, supporting me, and being a part of the iRise tribe. But today, we have to get down to business. We have something in particular that you and I have been talking about. 5 signs you might be a food addict. So, one of the questions that I often get is, Coach, I've done everything. I don't understand why I cannot lose the weight and keep it off. Coach, I've tried everything. Coach, what's wrong with me? Coach, I must just be meant to be big. What is wrong with me? I have women literally pleading and begging for answers to some of the struggles that they have had lifelong related to weight loss, dieting, cravings, obsessive compulsive overeating, restricting, um, obsessive compulsive weighing, and the list goes on. And so today, I want to give you 5 signs. Remember, I mentioned this in a video recently. I want to give you signs. I want to talk about 5 signs that you might be a food addict. So I'm going to make a reference to my notes so I can make sure I give you all the nuggets and I don't leave anything out. Okay. First and foremost, as you know, food addiction is a real addiction. And it's often misunderstood. It's hard to describe in one way because food is something that we need. You can't just stop eating. But often it's misunderstood and the effects of it and how detrimental an addictive nature and behavior related to food can be. It's not just about overeating. I mean, yeah, we want it to be just about overeating, but the truth to the matter is it's not. It's actually about using food to cope with emotional pain, stress, and like other psychological challenges and problems that come up in your daily life. As someone who has personally battled with food addiction, I can personally attest to the fact that I know once you can identify it, you can truly emerge victoriously and overcome the obsessive compulsive behavior and the connection to food. But it is a journey. But first and foremost, you kind of got to know if you're a food addict or not. Like, it literally is something you got to know. So, first and foremost, understanding the steps and signs is the first step toward healing and actually being fully engaged in a weight loss and wellness journey. So, number 1, addiction to chewing. Now, this, my friend, may surprise you. Why? Why would it surprise you? Because just like a baby finds comfort with the bottle, many adults use chewing as an easy way to self-soothe. If you constantly find yourself chewing gums, snacks, or non-food items, guess what? You may have an oral fixation and you may be struggling with a form of food addiction, particularly addicted to chewing. The repetitive action of chewing can actually incredibly calm the body and soothe it down, releasing dopamine and allowing the body to actually relax as if it's received some form of medicated treatment to feel better. Food can actually trigger that. And what happens is over time, it creates this really subtle oral fixation and yet powerful. It's subtle, but it's real. It's like the oral fixation is subtle, but it's actually really a powerful indicator that you might be struggling with an emotional crutch and have issues with food addiction. Okay. That's just number 1. Number 2. Now, number 2, let me see something about this number 2 now. The thing about number 2 is it can be interpreted uniquely. Okay. So number 2 is emotional eating as self-medication. Now, I myself am a self-admitted emotional overeater because I personally have caught myself in the act of eating to feel better on numerous amounts of occasions. Okay. When I tell you Coach has literally eaten herself into the abyss from emotional overeating, I'm telling you, I literally, truly have. Here's the question you have to ask yourself. Do you reach for food when you're stressed out, bored, tired, or lonely? Then if so, you might be a food addict. Many food addicts eat not because they're hungry, but actually because they're trying to manage their emotions. Foods high in sugars, salts, and fats actually trigger the same response with dopamine, tricking your brain to believe you are happy and excited when you are actually ingesting those items. It gives you our feel good chemical is heightened. So while you're chewing, while you're eating, your feel good chemical kicks on, and thus you have emotionally satisfied one's emotions by eating. This pattern of emotional eating is a very, 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 very strong sign that you, my baby boo, may be in a vicious cycle of negatively addressing your emotions and struggling with the food addiction. Number three had me out in these streets. Okay. Number three, obsession with restrictive dieting. Now, if you are constantly on a diet and obsessed with controlling your weight, this literally might paradoxically lead you to addictive behaviors. And as a result, restrictive dieting can actually trigger binge, purging, the use of laxative, excessive weighing, chronic detoxing, and the list goes on, all as a form of control. This pattern actually can become abusive. Yeah, you can actually become abusive with deprivation and subsequently binging to create like more into like it's like first okay, so this is the irony. Okay, let me tell you the irony of restrictive dieting. When you are a restrictive dieter, first you start off with deprivation. This is our little calorie in, calorie out girlfriend, right? It teaches you that we're going to have some calories in, we're going to have some calories out, right? So that's the one method. And then because you're hungry from that, you have a subsequent binging cycle that follows it, creating you this system of dieting, depriving, craving over, dieting, depriving, craving over. And as a result of this consistency, you create an actual cycle of chronically dieting, restricting, then binging, then restricting, then binging together on a diet or off a diet. Like that's like the cycle that you are stuck in. Is like this on and off again. It's like a bad relationship, right, with yourself. Like we're on Monday but we're off by Friday because we got to go out and kick it with our girls. Like there's no, like we want to do it, but the deprivation and the diets that we're doing is so restricted that we actually, the lifestyle that we live cannot conducively fit into the diet. And so as a result, the irony is that this extreme like dieting, it backfires. It makes the cravings worse. It makes the binging more intense. And of course, when you recognize this behavior and you see patterns of it for years and 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 years, let me tell you something. This is one of the most important things you got to break free from, and it's grip. Because that belief in immediate gratification for a short period of time, it's like inside of you, you have to find a way for that where that's no longer the focus. So number three, obsessive with restrictive dieting. Obsessions, like just four. We in the dough. Number four. Now, I gotta take a sip on that one. Listen, number four, you guys. Number four of five reasons why you might be a food addict is eating in secret. Now, this one in particular is very, very important. Do you hide your eating habits from others? Now, many food addicts feel ashamed of their behaviors and will eat in secret. It's just to avoid judgment. We This behavior can include like sneaking food late at night, eating alone, eating in secret in our cars, eating before we arrive to events, or saying we're not hungry at the event only to leave the event and overeat in our car. Hiding snacks, treats, and items in our desk, becoming aggressively angry when someone eats your hidden said food. I was really bad at this. I ate most of my food in private. I literally ate most of my food in private. Yeah. See, secret eating is often accompanied by the feelings of, for me, guilt, shame, and then it only perpetuated the cycle of addiction. For number four, if you find yourself hiding your eating habits, feeling the shame or guilt about how much food is on your plate, or being afraid of people seeing how much food you actually eat, listen, baby, this might be a clear sign that you're struggling with the food addiction. This might be a clear sign that you're struggling with the food addiction. Because number four, eating in secret might have you shackled down to the ground. All right. All right. Number five, loss of control around food. Number five. Now, number five is really for our good girlfriends that might feel powerless around food. So if you are someone who feels powerless around food, then listen, boo. Let me tell you something. If you're someone who feels powerless around food, definitely where you can't stop eating it, or even when you know that it's bad for you, highly processed foods, especially those high in sugars, fats, carbs, they actually can alter the brain chemistry in your brain that and make it like you're getting high or drunk. And so when you can eat so much food to the point where your actual body becomes excitable and feels high or drunk or even lethargic from ingesting so much food in such a short period of time, you get like a dopamine like boost from it, right? And so it makes it incredibly difficult to resist them when you know that eating to a certain point can actually excite you and give you the sense of an altered being or altered feeling per se. If that, I don't, I think, yeah, I hope that makes sense. So this law, like when you lose control like that, it's actually one of the primary hallmarks of food addiction. When you lose full total control over your ability to say no, when you eat one of something and cannot stop, and it cuts on a cycle of continuing to do that. Yeah, yeah. Even when you're full, you may continue eating to the point of discomfort or sickness because your brain is actually craving these highly palatable foods. This is serious. When you have recognized this loss of control, remember I've given you 5 reasons why you might be a food addict, and number 5 is close the front door. Give me some more. Give me some help so I can break free. Because if you recognize that this is you, then baby, it is essential in order for you to take back your power. Consider you might be a food addict. Now, I don't know much about much, but one thing for certain and two things for sure. I, King Michelle Elliott, am definitely a food addict. And all five of these items that I listed, all five of these signs, I personally have endured, experienced, walked through, and am living in recovery as a result of rigorous honesty, healing, walking through emotional trauma, and being honest about the struggles that I have emotionally, mentally, and physically. It has not been easy. Not one, knowing that I'm a food addict, but two, knowing that for the rest of my life, because food is something that I require, I will have to be honest, open, and find other ways to deal with life. Because, baby, let me tell you something. Life is still lifing. So life is going to be lifing tomorrow. And I need to be prepared to make sure that no matter what happens, I do not choose to fuel my emotions with food. I do not choose to feel better by eating. My choice today is fuel over fueling. So, if this sounds like something that you struggle with, if this sounds like a battle that you fought with, if these sound familiar, food addiction is a complex condition that requires understanding, patience, and compassion to actually overcome. If you recognize any of the things that I listed above, I actually encourage you to you got to know that you are not alone. No matter what it feels like, seems like, look like, you are not alone. And the first steps towards healing is actually acknowledging that there may be a problem and then following up with that acknowledgement and seeking actual help. If you think you have a food addiction, Googling the symptoms and self-treating yourself is not what I recommend by any means. You can seek professional help. There are communities, there are groups, there are self-help groups, there's therapy, there's counseling. There's so much help you can actually get to help build a support system and the tools you need to get free and sober if you think you might be a food addict too. So if you're looking for more information on this amazing, yet serious topic that may be keeping you from your weight loss results, please feel free to go to www.whatifirise.com, where there's more information about the services that I offer and what I do. And you can also learn more right here on my YouTube channel about my journey. So no matter what your struggle may be, if you have been on a weight loss journey and continue to bump your head and run around that hamster wheel, you might be a food addict. Have a great day, guys.